ਵੈਲਕਮ ਟੂ ਦਿਸ ਐਪੀਸੋਡ ਆਫ ਦ ਹਰਪ੍ਰੀਤ ਸਿੰਘ ਸ਼ੋ। ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਮੇਰਾ ਸਾਥ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਹੈ ਮੰਡੇ ਟੂ ਫਰਾਈਡੇ ਸਵੇਰੇ 8 ਤੋਂ ਲੈ ਕੇ 9 ਵਜੇ ਤੱਕ, ਮੰਡੇ ਟੂ ਥਰਸਡੇ ਰਾਤ ਨੂੰ 10 ਤੋਂ ਲੈ ਕੇ 11 ਵਜੇ ਤੱਕ, ਅਤੇ ਸੈਟਰਡੇ ਨੂੰ 2 ਵਾਰੀ ਸਾਂਝ ਪਾਉਂਦੇ ਹਾਂ, ਦੁਪਹਿਰ 2 ਤੋਂ ਲੈ ਕੇ 3 ਵਜੇ ਤੱਕ ਅਤੇ ਰਾਤ 8 ਤੋਂ ਲੈ ਕੇ 9 ਵਜੇ ਤੱਕ। ਇਸ ਤੋਂ ਇਲਾਵਾ ਵਿਜ਼ਨ ਟੀਵੀ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਹਰ ਸੈਟਰਡੇ ਨੂੰ 1 ਤੋਂ ਲੈ ਕੇ 1:30 ਵਜੇ ਤੱਕ ਮਹੱਤਵਪੂਰਨ ਵਿਸ਼ੇ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਸਾਂਝ ਪਾਉਂਦੇ ਹਾਂ। ਆਪ ਸਭ ਨੂੰ ਪਤਾ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਮਈ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਬ੍ਰਿਟਿਸ਼ ਕੋਲੰਬੀਆ ਵਿੱਚ ਚੋਣਾਂ ਹੋਣ ਜਾ ਰਹੀਆਂ ਨੇ, ਜਿਸ ਵਿੱਚ ਕਿ ਵੱਖਰੀ ਪਾਰਟੀ ਦੇ ਉਮੀਦਵਾਰ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਨੇ ਉਹ ਅੱਗੇ ਆ ਰਹੇ ਨੇ। ਸਾਡਾ ਮਕਸਦ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਐਜੂਕੇਟ ਕਰਨਾ, ਇਨਫੋਰਮ ਕਰਨਾ, ਤਾਂ ਕਿ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਇੰਪਾਵਰ ਹੋ ਸਕੋ ਅਤੇ ਸਹੀ ਫੈਸਲੇ ਲੈ ਸਕੋ। ਉਸੇ ਦੇ ਤਹਿਤ ਤੁਹਾਡੀ ਮੁਲਾਕਾਤ ਵੱਖਰੀ ਪਾਰਟੀਆਂ ਦੇ ਨੁਮਾਇੰਦਿਆਂ ਨਾਲ ਕਰਾਵਾਂਗੇ। ਅਤੇ ਅੱਜ ਤੁਹਾਡੀ ਮੁਲਾਕਾਤ ਕਰਵਾਉਣ ਜਾ ਰਹੇ ਹਾਂ ਸਿਲਵੀਆ ਬਿਸ਼ਪ ਨਾਲ, ਜਿਹੜੇ ਕਿ NDP ਦੇ ਉਮੀਦਵਾਰ ਹਨ ਡੈਲਟਾ ਨਾਰਥ ਤੋਂ। ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨਾਲ ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਕਰਾਂਗੇ ਅਤੇ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਦੱਸਣਗੇ ਕਿਹੜੀ ਚੀਜ਼ ਨੇ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਮੋਟੀਵੇਟ ਕੀਤਾ ਸਿਆਸਤ ਵਿੱਚ ਆਉਣ ਲਈ, ਅਤੇ ਉਸ ਤੋਂ ਇਲਾਵਾ ਕਿਹੜੇ ਇਸ਼ੂਜ਼ ਨੇ, ਅਤੇ ਜੇਕਰ ਇਹ ਚੁਣੇ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਨੇ ਐਜ਼ MLA, ਇਹ ਕਿਹੜੇ ਸਟੈਪਸ ਲੈਣਗੇ ਜਿਸ ਨਾਲ ਕਿ ਲੋਕਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਫਾਇਦਾ ਮਿਲ ਸਕੇ। Let's welcome Sylvia Bishop to the program. Welcome, Sylvia, to the program.
Hello, Harpreet. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. So, Sylvia, a little bit about yourself. Since how long you have been in civic politics, and what prompted you to jump into this race?
Well, you know, Harpreet, I have lived in Delta for over 45 years. I've been a classroom teacher. I've raised my children. I graduated from Delta Secondary in Ladner. I care a lot about my community. And so through all of the activism I have undertaken for, over 20, 30 years, I decided to enter civic politics and was elected in 2011 to Delta Council. And I love the work. I do love the work.
Okay. And apart from that, as you said, you have been a long-time resident of Delta. And what kind of activities you have been doing, especially volunteerism and other activities which you engaged in?
Well, two things are very, very important to me and actually launched me into activism. One is a fully funded public education system, and that would come as no surprise because I am a classroom teacher. And way back in the early 80s, there were going to be some significant cuts to public education. And I couldn't believe that a caring society would want to underfund education, and that was one of the issues that prompted me to get involved, both on the teaching side and on advocating for public education. The other issue that I care deeply about is the preservation of our farmland and our environmentally sensitive areas. So I became very involved in land use issues, both for the preservation of Burns Bog, which is a jewel in Delta, and also our farmland. About 50% of Delta's land is farmland. And we know that the encroachment of wanting to build always means that farmland is under threat. So those were the two issues that launched me. Along the way, as your viewers may remember, Delta Hospital was under threat of being closed. I worked to keep it open. Also, the most unpopular HST, which was introduced by this government, I undertook to get involved in the anti-HST campaign, which had the desired outcome. Those are 4 areas where I really became involved.
Okay, and from civic politics to provincial politics, so what motivated you to jump into this particular race now?
Something I have learned being on Delta Council is that some problems can only be solved at the provincial level. Some of those I've already alluded to, public education, but also healthcare and transportation. And what people are telling me on the doorstep is they worry about the traffic congestion and the transportation challenges in North Delta. We are very limited as to what we can do on council regarding that. So actually I want to finish the job I started, which is to go to Victoria where the funding is, where the policies are, and look after the issues that concern North Delta and actually are shared province-wide, but I want to focus on North Delta.
And again, there are two major parties, the Liberals and the NDP. So why did you go in for the NDP?
That goes back to, also decades, actually the last century, I hate to admit it. I grew up in a household where we had very robust, vibrant dinner conversations. And my father and I had opposite views. And so he made me sharpen what I believed in because he always challenged me. And I realized my values lay with the values of the NDP, that we need equity, that everyone should have access to fully funded public education, to healthcare, because it makes for a better society. When we don't look after people, we have huge costs in trying to correct wrong paths that they have taken or the lack of services to healthcare.
While you were in the civic, body, where in the municipal corporation, and there was a major issue regarding the South Asians about the big houses, the monster houses,
Yes.
which came into. So, what was your response at that time, and how did you, react to that, and what was your, I would say, input into all this?
That issue was actually before my time on council.
Okay.
What I am proud of doing for the South Asian community, and I think for the community as a whole, is I have supported secondary suites.
Right.
And even before I was on council, I attended the public hearing on that matter. I think
Okay.
it was 2010 where the bylaw was passed.
Right.
And spoke in favor of it because it's good for families. It keeps families together. It can be the mortgage helper that new families with their first time purchase can help with the mortgage. It is good for students if they're looking for lower cost accommodations. And as we know, it keeps families together. Grandma and grandpa can live with you, and an
Right.
uncle, whoever you need in a multi-generational gathering.
Setup, right.
Yeah.
So with your long experience working with the people, of course, you are well aware of the challenges what the people, especially of Delta North, have been facing. But
Yeah.
right now, jumping into this electoral fray, what kind of challenges are being brought forward to you by the public, which you would like to address today?
I've been doing a lot of door knocking, and so I can tell you what people are telling me on the doorstep. First of all, they love their community.
Right.
When you ask on the doorstep, so how is it? What issues have you got? The first thing they say is, I'm pretty happy. I really love my neighborhood. I love my community. I don't want to move.
Right.
So you have to dig a little. And when I dig, what they bring up is the traffic congestion, and the lack of services. So public transportation, whether it's the buses that have been taken away or we need more buses, all of those mobility challenges of getting around.
Right.
The other thing they tell me about is, what about their kids? What is the future for their kids?
Right.
You know that Adrian Dix has talked about a forgivable loan for students who want to go into post-secondary skills and training. And families want hope, not just for themselves, but for their children, for the future.
Right.
So we, the NDP, have taken the positive step already to say, this is what we're going to do. Your kids can get a post-secondary education. We're going to help make it affordable.
Right.
And provide skills training so that those kids can stay in BC, work in BC, for BC. I
Right.
think that's good all around. The other thing they talk about on the flip side is looking after their aging parents.
Right.
What will be there for my mom and dad when they no longer can live at home with us? And we have seen under this government where elderly couples who have been in nursing homes have to be transferred, and then they're transferred to 2 different places.
Right.
Now, what a heartbreak for those families.
Right.
So again, our focus is to provide services to our seniors so that they are looked after in the last years of their life
Right.
with dignity and respect. And so families who are already challenged by a potential loss of mom and dad can realize that they will be looked after.
Right.
And those are the top things on the doorstep.
Right. So these are coming forward to you
Yeah.
when you door knock. Okay.
Yeah.
And now, a major thing, if you are elected as an MLA, what would be your priorities be? And also, I would like to add on a question because I just have a few minutes left.
Sure.
And public's perception about politicians is going down and down because politicians, when they are out of power, they say something, but when they are in power, then it's a different thing, and that's what
Right.
we hear from the people. So,
Right.
how would you like to assure our viewers today that if you are elected, what would you be accountable for, and how will you deliver those goods?
Wow, and we only have a couple of minutes.
Yes.
The very first thing I'm going to do, if the good people of North Delta elect me, is to make sure that office, the constituency office, is open and running right from the very first day.
Right.
That I will be available and accessible to, first of all, listen to what their issues are,
Right.
and then secondly, figure out how they can be helped. That's my priority, is to go to work for North Delta.
Right.
The second part of your question about lack of credibility or lack of faith in politicians, I think what I bring is genuineness. I care about people, and I'm authentic. And
Right.
I've demonstrated my commitment to the community. I have to work with a team, Adrian Dix in the NDP, which I'm very much looking forward to.
Right, great, wonderful, and congratulations and best wishes.
Thank
and
you.
may you succeed, and we have you as an MLA, and you do what you have said. You prove that yes, there are some politicians who also mean business. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
ਥੈਂਕ ਯੂ। ਸੋ ਅੱਜ ਸਿਲਵੀਆ ਨਾਲ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਅਸੀਂ ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਕੀਤੀ, NDP ਦੇ ਇਹ ਉਮੀਦਵਾਰ ਹਨ ਡੈਲਟਾ ਨਾਰਥ ਤੋਂ, ਅਤੇ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਜੋ ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਕੀਤੀ ਉਸ ਵਿੱਚ ਮੁੱਖ ਤੌਰ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਫੋਕਸ ਕੀਤਾ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਪਿਛਲੇ 40 ਸਾਲਾਂ ਤੋਂ ਰਹਿ ਰਹੇ ਨੇ ਡੈਲਟਾ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ, ਅਤੇ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਪਤਾ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਲੋਕਾਂ ਦੀ ਕੀ ਸਮੱਸਿਆਵਾਂ ਨੇ। ਐਜ਼ ਅ ਟੀਚਰ ਅਤੇ ਐਜ਼ ਐਨ ਐਡਵੋਕੇਟ ਫॉर ਸੋਸ਼ਲ ਇਸ਼ੂਜ਼ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਬਹੁਤ ਸਾਰੇ ਮਸਲਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਅੱਗੇ ਚੁੱਕਿਆ ਹੈ, ਤੇ ਯਕੀਨ ਦਵਾਉਂਦੇ ਨੇ ਕਿ ਜੇਕਰ MLA ਇਲੈਕਟ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਨੇ ਤਾਂ ਪਹਿਲੇ ਦਿਨ ਤੋਂ ਹੀ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਕੌਂਸਟੀਟਿਊਂਸੀ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਜੋ ਹੈ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਆਫਿਸ ਕੰਮ ਕਰਨਾ ਸ਼ੁਰੂ ਕਰ ਦੇਗਾ, ਅਤੇ ਇਹ ਵਚਨਬੱਧ ਹਨ ਕਿ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਰਿਸਪੌਂਸਿਬਿਲਿਟੀ ਹੈ ਇਸ ਤੋਂ ਪਿੱਛੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਹਟਣਗੇ।